Okay, everyone, we'll get started. Tommy, is the YouTube live ready? Yes. Hello?
Hi.
Drum. Okay, everyone, we'll get started in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. If you have anything to add to today's agenda, can you please make sure that you have sent it to Tommy? Okay, everyone, I'm going to call this meeting to order today at 7:10 p.m. Sorry, give me 1 second. Are there any amendments to be made to today's October 14th agenda? Yes, Joy?
Can we please strike TGIF allocations?
Thank you. Nico?
Could I add a discussion on resolution reports?
Yes. Edison?
Could I motion to add CS Transport funding allocations to the agenda?
Voting. Edison motions, Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining. With a vote to 10 to 0 to 0, that motion is passed. That motion passes. Are there any other amendments? Yes.
Can I add a presentation on Prop 50 to the agenda?
Yes. Can you send it to Tommy,
Yeah.
please? Okay, Tommy. Are there any other amendments? Yes, Hannah?
Could I strike SWC programming fund allocations? Thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We cannot hear.
I was like, what are you saying? Sorry.
Hello?
We can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Chris, I think you had an amendment.
Yes. May I add a resolution titled Resolution to Request Course Marking?
Yes. Um,
Quick comment on this. Chris, I see the resolution in my inbox, and I think per our bylaws, we have to have 3 council sponsors. I only see 2 on there.
Okay, then I will inform that person of that.
All right,
Okay.
thank
We
you.
can table it for next week.
Thank you, Lorelai.
Yeah, for the previous motion that Edison put forward for CS Transpo, that was for the funding, the allocations. And currently they're not on there, so.
On the funding?
Yeah, I think they were removed in spring since like they weren't allocating anymore. So he was just motioning for it to be added to be considered for the allocations. And then, but the CS Transpo guidelines do need to get added. And so that'll need a separate motion, which Edison's gonna get.
Wait, Edison?
I motion to add CS Transpo funding guidelines to the agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Edison motions. Nico seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against and all abstaining. With a vote to 9 to 0, that motion passes. Jonathan, I'm introducing the 4 bylaw changes today. Do I have to motion all of them together or in block
Since you're not
voting?
voting on them today, you can just add them.
Like in one motion?
You don't need a motion because
I
you're
don't
not
have to
voting on them
motion.
today.
Okay. Tommy, can you please add them? Thank you. Yes, for the record, the bylaws to be introduced today, but to be voted on next week, will be the Office of the President bylaw change for the SIOC, CRC. And then the second one is the Student Wellness Commission bylaw change for the SIOC, CRC. And the third one is the Academic Affairs Commissioner bylaw change for the SIOC, CRC. And the fourth one is the Financial Supports Commissioner for the bylaw change for the SIOC to this and the CRC as well. For the Office of the President, it includes, I can go over it actually when I get to those agenda items. And then Tommy, I have another motion. I think
Diego, could I just clarify, did that motion include the CSE bylaw change as well?
I don't think so. I think you just mentioned,
Okay. So I will need to motion separately for that?
yes.
You're
You
not
don't need a
voting on
motion.
it today. You can just add it since you won't vote on it today, since they have to sit on your agenda for a week. But you can ask to add it.
Levin?
Okay, could I just ask to add the bylaw change for Article 3, Section D4B to the agenda?
Yes. Four G four. It goes in order of alphabetical. But we're not voting on them today, so. AC is 4G, SWC is 4I. Sorry. And then yes, FSC is I. Yes. Okay, and then can I motion to add the resolution to honor the life of Professor Kent Wong? I did. I motion, Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against and all abstaining with a vote to 9-0, and that resolution is added onto today's agenda. Can someone, yes, I did send it to you. You should have the link. I can forward it as well to you. I resent it. All right, can someone please motion for today's agenda? Oh, wait, sorry. Bethany?
Hi, can we please strike capital contingency allocations? Thank you.
Divine?
Can we please strike ARC allocations?
Chris?
May we please add the resolution to request course marking? It should meet the criteria now.
Chris, can you motion? Chris, can you make a motion, please?
Yeah. I motion to add the resolution to request course marking to the agenda tonight.
Second.
Chris Espino motions, Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against and all abstaining. With the votes of 10-0, that motion is approved. Are there any final amendments? Okay, then can we please get all right. Can someone please motion to approve today's agenda for October 14th?
I motion to approve today's agenda for October 14th, 2025.
I second. I'm not doing it today. Tommy motions, Daniel seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining. With the votes of 13-0, that motion, that today's agenda on October 14th is approved. We'll now be moving on to the approval of our previous meeting minutes. I hope everyone had the opportunity to take a look at our October 7th, 2025 meeting minutes. Are there any objections from council members? If not, we'll approve. We'll now be moving on to public comment. Are there any students online for public comment today? 0. All right. Then with that, I close public comment today at 7:21 p.m. We will now be moving on to funding, and we'll begin with contingency programming with Bethany.
Hi, this week we had a total contingency programming request of $30,072, and we recommend an allocation of $9,787.33 for 3 USAC entities and 38 non-USAC entities. And I'm happy to answer any questions, and I've also just pasted it in the chat.
Tommy?
I motion to approve an allocation of $9,787.33 for 3 USAC entities and 38 non-USAC entities for our contingency fund.
I second. Tommy motions, Daniel seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining. With the votes at 13-0, the contingency programming is approved on October 14th. Next, we'll be moving on to SFS allocations.
Yeah, so SFS received a total amount we received requests totaling to an amount of $23,285.08. SFS recommends an allocation of $15,374.59 to 6 USAC entities and 12 non-USAC entities.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Seeing as there are none, we'll now be moving on to SWC Programming Fund allocations.
Wait, sorry, I got the issue resolved and it's no allocations.
No allocations. So can you motion to strike?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, just move on. Okay, thank you. We'll now be moving on to Bruin Advocacy Grant allocations with Nami.
Give me 1 second. Okay. This week, BAG has a recommended allocation of $1,691 to 4 non-USAC entities.
Are there any objections? Seeing as there are none, the Bruin Advocacy Grant allocations are approved. ASR, we'll now be moving on to ASRF allocations. Chris?
Yes. The Academic Affairs Commission allocated $400 to one non-USAC entity for ASRF. Do you want me to do travel grant mini fund as well?
Yes, please.
And we allocated a total of $1,651.12 to 4 non-USAC entities for travel grant mini fund.
Are there any objections? With that, ASRF allocations and AAC travel mini grant allocations are approved. Next, Community Service Transportation Fund.
Yeah, so the CS Transpo Fund received $111,051.94 in request. CS Transpo recommends an allocation of $73,746.84 to 8 USAC entities and 48 non-USAC entities. I believe this is a voting item, right? So I will need to motion.
You can consent it.
Okay.
Are there any objections? If not, Community Service Transportation Fund is approved. It is 7:25, and we'll now be moving on to our presentation on Prop 50. And I ask Nami if you could hold it or keep it till 7. Oh, it's now 7:36.
Hi, guys. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Nami. I'm Sherry's internal head of staff, so I do a lot of our campus and system-wide advocacy, one of which being civic engagement. So unfortunately, no one from my team could be here, but I will just give it really quickly. The goal of this is just giving you guys the resources and the information that you need to educate others about what Prop 50 is and help students, especially in your offices or anyone that you work with, think a little critically about it, and then also encourage people to vote. So you can move on. Okay, so we can skip this. So this is the language that is going to be in your ballot. Basically, the key points here that I wanted to highlight is that it is changing the congressional district maps, not the state district maps. So the only things that would be affected is who your congressional representatives are. And then also the fiscal impact aspect to this. There is a fiscal impact, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I think that's really important to consider when deciding how you want to vote as well. So as a little bit of context, California currently has 52 congressional districts, the most of any states. Basically, Prop 50 has the potential to flip up to 5 Republican seats because of the way that the maps would be redrawn. We can talk a little bit more about that later, or please do your own research as to what this means. But the key things that I wanted to highlight here are redistricting laws. So right now, the Voting Rights Act is the key federal law, which still would apply to whatever lines that the state draws. But this is going to be the key redistricting law that is meant to protect the one person, one vote principle. So as some background, this was introduced in response to Texas's redistricting plan, which would flip 5 Democrat seats Republican for the midterm elections. So does the flipping 5 Republican seats to Democrat in California. And then Newsom publicly announced it. Prop 50 passed through the state assembly, and then November 4th is a special election. So that's what we're really mobilizing for, making sure that everyone knows that there's an election on November 4th, and also that they turn out to vote because it's very last minute. You can move on. So this is how the current redistricting process works. This was really interesting to me because I didn't know how it worked. Basically, anyone can apply. The applications for 2030 are open right now. So if you want to be on the redistricting commission, you can. And then it's kind of random. The only legislative input is that people can strike candidates from each party pool, but up to 2. So that still leaves about 14 people in each pool that are randomly then selected. And then those 8 people are the ones that choose the rest of the commission, just so that it's allowed to be representative of California's identities and diversity. So ultimately, we end up with a 14-person commission that decides on the districts without any legislative input. So you can move on. This creates a very nonpartisan redistricting process because 1, the parties are balanced, and then 2, the legislature has no input on it. So these are like the kind of rules that they have to follow. So like, feel free to read this later. But the thing I wanted to highlight is that the first 3 points are federal laws, so those would still apply if Prop 50 is passed, but the last 4 are state redistricting laws. So those do not apply with Prop 50. Oh, yeah. I don't know what that was.
Mic drop.
It's mic drop.
Mic drop.
Yeah, Prop 50 would mean that this entire process does not exist for 8 years because it basically, it gives the legislator the power to redraw the congressional maps, taking it away from the Independent Redistricting Commission for 1 redistricting cycle. So it's till 2031. So the 2026, 2028, and 2030 elections would use the Prop 50 maps. After that, it would go back to the Redistricting Commission, and if we wanted to change it again, we'd have to vote on it again in another proposition. Crucially, this does not change any of the state or Board of Equalization maps. This is like pretty important because this is literally only affecting federal elections, but and they still have to follow the state or the federal redistricting rules, but these state ones that I highlighted in those 3 bullet points do not have to be followed. So I think that's kind of interesting. You can skip through the next couple. These are just arguments for yes and no. This is kind of a couple arguments that I put together, and I tried to provide like arguments and counter arguments so that you can kind of engage with some of the more like nuances of this. So for example, the financial impact, the question is who is really receiving the costs? Probably smaller, poorer districts that do not have the capacity to run a special election like this or change. Basically, the costs are running the November 4th election and then changing all the materials in the midterm election. And so that is about a few $1 million statewide, and it's one-time cost of up to $200,000. That is like the nonpartisan thing. But then I added a little bit of a partisan angle so that you guys can kind of like assess how you will. And then the political impact is that it would be neutralizing Texas's redistricting, but you're still not really getting a majority in the House. So that is also something to consider. And then also the question is, does this create a precedent? So I don't know, lots of arguments, lots of counter arguments. I think the next slide is probably the most important one. These are the maps. These are the proposed maps. I highlighted the districts that would flip so that you guys could kind of see. I think it's kind of crazy, especially if you look at how they've changed. Like District 1 was mostly rural, like Northern California, but now it includes part of the Bay Area. So obviously that's going to change the way that they vote. And then there's another one that's kind of in the LA region, but it was too small and they stopped labeling the numbers, so I didn't highlight it, sorry. You can skip the next slide. Donors, I think, are really important when considering proposition elections. I always look at who's funding the ads, who's funding the campaigns. So this is kind of a list of donors that you guys can look back to on your own time, but I think it's interesting. And then in the next two slides, I kind of highlight different ways of redistricting that other states use. So independent commissions is the system that California uses, which is, like I explained, very little legislative input. Legislature control is what Texas has, which is what enables them to just do this like redistricting thing without passing it through their citizenry, which is what most states also have. But California recently, like in 2008, passed the Independent Redistricting Commission. And then the next two options are like political hybrid commissions, where there are politicians in the commission, but there's also like citizens or like non-politically affiliated people in it as well. And then others are the backup and advisory commissions, which is when the independent commission steps in if the legislature can't agree. So for example, if the Democrats and Republicans like cannot agree on how to draw the maps, this is when the commission would step in and try to resolve any arguments. So I think it's interesting. I think redistricting is something that we don't know a lot about and has a lot of power politically. So I would like urge you all to think kind of rhetorically about like what the most fair system is and how Prop 50 kind of aligns with your views and your morals on that. The next one I think is the most important slide I have on here because this kind of tells you guys how to register people to vote. It's really easy because it's on My UCLA. So you can literally just go on My UCLA Campus Life and then US voter registration, and that like you can register to vote. It's pretty like it's probably like a 2-minute process. I did it recently and it was very chill. Tell people that they can register to vote with their campus addresses. So their dorm address is a perfectly fine place to register. You can also re-register to vote in LA County if you're registered to vote at home. That's important because that lets you vote in more local things, which is going to be important in the upcoming midterm election. It's also important that they do it this way and not through the county because in future elections, we get like a ballot bowl and we get to like beat other schools. It's like a whole competition thing, so it's kind of important.
Nami, just time check. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Okay, next slide. This is just a couple events that EVP and our partners, so we worked with Bruins Vote, we worked with the LA County Registrar to kind of mobilize people to vote on this. So we tabled with them last week, and then we are going to be flyering with our civic team throughout this week. So if you see us on Bruin Walk, say hi. I have some flyers as well that I'll give to all of you so that you guys can give to your offices. They're kind of cute, but I cut them really poorly, so sorry. But the biggest thing that I wanted to plug is in the next is our Prop 50 forum. We're going to have a bunch of guest speakers, including hopefully an elected official, hopefully. That outreach is going, but we'll see. But also UCLA federal government relations and then a professor so that you guys get multiple perspectives on the prop. So political, non-political, nuanced, non-nuanced, you know, whatever you need. And also we'll have some free food and dinner. So please come, tell your offices to come. It's going to be in the Strauss Clubhouse next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. And there's an RSVP up there. So please come. Yay. Thank you guys for listening to me. And this presentation is available to you guys if anyone has any questions or you ever want to give it to someone else, like please, I don't really care. So yeah.
Thank you, Nami, so much. Thank you. Thank you. And if anyone has any questions, I'll forward them to you. We have no appointments today, so I'll now be moving on to officer reports. Just really briefly, USAC and GSA had our Sepulveda Transit Corridor rally where we had LA City Council Imelda Padilla present. We had Culver City elected officials, West Hollywood mayor. It was a great turnout, and I'm excited that everyone who went had a great time. Tommy?
Hey, so IVP has had a lot going on. We have a lot of events coming up, so too many to name. Make sure to keep an eye out on our Instagram. Our staff app finally closed, so those decisions will be coming out this Friday, but really excited. It's looking like IVP, we're going to have an office of about 100 this year. So yeah, exciting things to come.
Who's here? Sherry, I guess Sherry's proxy.
I'm Sherry. EVP has quite a few things, but the biggest thing is the Prop 50 forum. We're also hosting an Intro to Legislative Advocacy teach-in on October 27th, so if anyone wants to attend that. The rest of her updates are written.
Thank you. I think if you don't have any major updates, I recommend you keep them written, but Jay is not here. Talia?
I'll keep it written.
Thank you. Brett? think you should be-
Oh, sorry, the mic was wrong. Just shouting out 2 events next week. We have a basic needs fair in Bruin Plaza on the 23rd, from like 11 to 2-ish, and it's collaboration with a ton of offices. And we're also hosting a Bruin Buddies event from 5 to 7, maybe slightly earlier because of the sunset. That's kind of it.
Thank you, Daniel. Oh, wait, no, sorry, Chris.
Please refer to my written report for tonight.
Thank you, Daniel.
Hi. Yesterday we had a sneak preview of the new Josh O'Connor movie, The Mastermind. Had great turnout. General programming. We have a lot of new sneak previews coming out in the works, a new speaker event and concerts next month. And we just finished hiring and onboarding about 40 new hires.
Thank you. Divine? No, wait, sorry. Edison?
I'll keep it written as well.
Thank you, Divine.
One thing I want to highlight, we have our first event of the quarter this Friday in the BBRC from 4 to 5 p.m. That's going to be a Metro Boomin listening party.
Thank you. Joy?
Yeah, last Friday, Diego, Brett, and some of my directors and I spoke at the STC rally for the need for a direct on-campus stop in the proposed STC. Yeah, and turnout was good, and we had a lot of community members and leaders show up. And then I'm meeting with student leaders in the disabled community, such as DSU and the UCSA, on pushing for the building and implementation of the Lily Shaw Disability Cultural Center. And now we're looking for 3 appointments, not 5, for the John Wooden Center Board of Governors. So if you're interested, please apply to the committee. And anyone on council, you are more than welcome to apply. And then we are in the process of reactivating SACBOG for appointments. And then we finished our fall hiring and hired 6 new staffers.
Thank you, Nico.
The USA/BOD fund is accepting applications. If you know any student orgs who'd like to apply, or if you as USAC commissions would like to apply, please do so. The deadline, I believe, is in a week.
Anna?
SWC Health is tomorrow. I hope everyone shows up. It's 3 to 6 p.m. in Wilson Plaza. And we're going to have a lot of free stuff, including acai bowls and a mechanical bowl, and goat yoga and a petting zoo and tabling from Health Org. So please show up. And the rest is written.
Thank you. Hiram?
Next week is National Transfer Student Week. It's from October 20th to the 24th. It's organized annually by the National Institute for the Study of Transfer Students, and that's a national organization that aims to empower the transfer pathway from community college to a 4-year university. And a lot of my work is focused on joining forces between the TSR office, the Transfer Student Center, the Transfer Leadership Coalition, and the Center for Community College Partnerships. So I want to encourage you all to consider doing something big or small within your offices to celebrate this week. We appreciate support on like any social media initiatives. TSR specifically is working on events to connect students socially, especially our non-traditional transfers. And also our transfer housing town hall part 2 is taking place on Thursday. We're doing a live streamed version from Tijuana, and we encourage you all that said that you would be there to be there, because it was really disappointing last time when you guys said, oh, of course I'll be there, and then like did not show up or send a proxy. So please show up. Thank you.
Thank you, Kea.
Okay, I'll do the important. So this week, like last weekend, we went to UCSA, to UC Irvine, and we had the first International Student Alliance meeting where international student reps or designated individuals from each UC met, and it was really productive. We spoke on a lot of upcoming projects. And apart from that, we had the first Bruin Buddies mixer, which was on Tongwa Steps. So those are the main updates.
Thank you. Orlando?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me this time?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm not there. I'm having some little minor health issues I'm taking care of, but I'll be back soon. The only update I have is tomorrow is our starts our 2-day Days of Soul. So tomorrow will be our virtual day, and then on Thursdays our in-person day. I'm dropping the agenda in the chat. If you have any questions, we'll go ahead. Feel free to reach out to me. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, who's next? Lorelai?
Hello, everyone. My only update or reminder is to appoint e-board, but I heard through the grapevine that that should be coming down either next week or the week after. So happy
Next
to hear
week.
that. Yay!
Next week.
Yay! Exciting. But other than that, just a reminder to take care of yourselves as you know midterms are approaching and you're preparing for that. And if you need anything, let us know.
Yes, of course. Thank you, thank you. And we will have elections board chair ready. Ready. And we will take up the 15 minutes, everyone. Lori, is Lori? No, Lori is not here. Jonathan?
Hey, hi, hello. Just a couple quick things from me. Does anyone that's currently here want to claim Marlene Jaquez and or Destiny Garcia as a member of your office?
Oh, that's me. Why?
Both of them?
Yeah.
Okay, because they didn't we were trying to file their volunteer agreements and they didn't put what office they were in.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Thank you. Reminder that your entities meeting with student media and the board and student learn enterprises and GSA is next Friday at 2 p.m. In 2408, 2 floors above us. Reminder to keep filling out your rosters and volunteer agreements. Our students are slowly filing those away. There's a lot of them, so give us some grace and some time. And a reminder to keep submitting your off-campus request forms. I've had a lot of those come in recently. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who has submitted. And oh yeah, and Lori will be away from USAC for the next couple weeks for personal matters. So if you need anything from her, either wait, hit up Orlando or myself. Yeah, have a great week and stay dry.
Thank you. I hope everything is okay. Peter isn't here. We have no old business and new business. Discussion on resolution reports. I think that's you, Nico.
Yeah, maybe this could have been an email, I'm not realizing, but I just wanted to ask what's going on with resolution reports this year, because we've had 8 so far. And according to our bylaws, resolution reports have to be done by the 3rd or 4th week, or the 3rd and 4th meeting after a resolution is passed, and many resolutions have been passed and no resolution reports. So just curious.
Yes, thank you. I think we didn't explain properly, or I didn't explain properly what a USAC report was. So for those of you who are new and aren't returning, last year we passed to be added onto our agenda, which is the USAC report. And yeah, basically, as Nico said, after every resolution is passed, you have to provide an update to 3 to 4 weeks, or if not, from what I remember, penalty from judicial board. It's on the bylaws. Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. And yeah, I just encourage everyone to please, when you can, provide updates on what has been made for the resolution, meetings, public comment, or a change has been secured. So please do that. You can just create a new tab at the bottom and keep going down in the rows. Yes, so like I'll give an example. For mine, resolution to request a DOJ letter, I had my chancellor meeting with Sherry and I got clarification on updates on that, and so I'll be putting that pretty soon. So yeah, I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to mention that. So thank you, Nico. Is there anything else you wanted to add, or is that it? Okay, great. Thank you. Yes, Kaya?
Wait, so do you do like the report here at the meetings or?
So if, for example, like let's say because you're the first one, right? So let's say the A resolution in defense of SEVP protections and international security at UCLA. Like let's say you would have put a tab a few weeks later underneath. You know what I'm talking about? Like you would have put a tab and put more information about it. And then when I get to that agenda item, I'm like, okay, Kaya, do you want to just share a little bit about what the updates were because you included it? I haven't been asking that because there haven't been any updates on the doc.
So Well, I can't add it right now, right? So I would just.
No. We can come back to it next week, and then hopefully next week there have been some additions to it on the document. I'll include some as well, and then we can take the time next week to go one by one for which one, for the ones that are there, if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? All right. Nico, anything else? You're good?
No, that's all. Could have
Great.
been an email, but sorry.
I know you're so good. Thank you for that transparency. I like that. Okay, we'll now be moving on to CSPO Transpo guidelines with Edison.
Yeah, so sorry to bring this up once again, but basically we need to update the guidelines again to remove a section that talks about off-campus activity waivers, because I think we gave the link to the student government one, which is not what they're supposed to do. So we just wanted to update the guidelines to remove that. Yeah.
All right. So that's not voting. We can move on to article change.
I think I need the motion, right?
You need motion. It
Yeah.
is the voting today? Oh, my bad. My sorry.
Okay. I motion to approve the CS Transpo guidelines for the 2025-2026 academic year.
I second.
Edison motions. Daniel seconds. Is all in favor? Please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against and all abstaining. With a vote of 12 to 0, that is approved. Well, next on our agenda is the bylaw changes for, which one's this one? Who's this? Oh, this is Edison. Sorry, I thought this.
Yeah, I can just talk briefly about this. So for this bylaw change, it's basically to update the list of student organizations that are affiliated with CSC. So I think the particular section in the bylaws are basically referring to sponsored organizations, and we're just updating it to include two new organizations and remove one that has left.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. We'll be voting on that next week. Our next agenda item is, I think that one is mine. Oops, sorry, tell me you're touching it. Agenda item B, that is the bylaw. Okay, I'll just cover all of the bylaw changes. So yeah, for those of you who remember our conversations regarding the Campus Retention Committee and the Student Initiate Outreach Committee, I want to say thank you, Hannah. I want to say thank you, Nico, and I want to say thank you, Chris and Angela, for being a proxy, and anyone else who was involved in those conversations. It was and then Kea and Hiram. It was a long summer and unfortunately, very unfortunately timed meetings, but we did it. And I'll give a brief update, but I hope to give an actual proper presentation next week on the history of it and since we're voting on it next week. But yeah, essentially USAC has come into an agreement with Student Affairs, who was pushing to change this, and we had to move with urgency, or else the projects wouldn't have been able to start for this year. And I wish I wish we could have been able to start earlier. We're already week 3, and based on the timeline that's been given, allocations and voting members will be trained by week 7. I think in an ideal world, we'll be even lucky to allocate funding this quarter, but if not, like I mentioned, Hannah, Nico, and Chris are in communications with Student Affairs and the student projects. So these bylaw changes, I guess the only one that has major changes is the Office of the President one. Now, the Campus Retention Committee and the Student Initiated Outreach Committee, they both have 4 presidential appointments, their action items, and then for Student Wellness Commission for academic affairs and for financial supports, you all are action items and you were previously consent appointments. Those are the changes we made over the summer with ISR and TSR to make them action item approval for council. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, next week I'll be giving an actual presentation on the history of student projects and the history of these 2 committees, the referendum, the language, the SOU, and the role USAC plays in it. Next, we'll be moving on to a resolution to honor the life of Kent Wong. I will just maybe I'll go over it, and hopefully I'll be brief. But for those of you who probably found out via Instagram or via anywhere else in any social channels, Professor Kent Wong was a professor here at UCLA. He was a labor studies and Asian American studies professor. And I personally, and I think a few other council members, this year or in the previous years, and a lot of our staffers had classes with Kent Wong in either in the Labor Studies or Asian American Studies department, which Labor Studies, which is now a department. And Kent Wong was nationally recognized champion and immigrant rights activist who unfortunately passed away October 8th. At the age of 69, leaving behind a strong legacy of scholarship, legacy, and advocacy. He was a visionary director of the UCLA Labor Center and as a project director of the Labor and Community Partnerships. He was transformational in establishing the department, the center that is now, from 3 to 42 staff. He was a key founder of the UCLA Labor Studies program in establishing its popular course, Nonviolence and Social Movements, which he co-taught with the legendary civil rights leader, Reverend James Lawson Jr. He established his own class, Immigrant Rights and Labor in Higher Education, where he pushed undocumented students in collaborating with him, where he pushed undocumented students into leading in their own advocacy efforts, including the national push for the passage of the pushing for the passage of the Federal Dream Act in 2010, which unfortunately didn't pass the House of Representatives. He mentored student leaders like Tam Tran and Cynthia Felix, who were featured in his 2007 publication, Underground Undergrads, UCLA Undocumented Immigrant Students Speak Out, who unfortunately passed away tragically in a car accident in Maine. He led to the foundation of Dream Summer, giving the rise to the Opportunity for All movement, as many of you may know, originating in 2012, the Dream Summer, and now to 2022 when the campaign was founded. And he testified actually to the California State Committee on Education in July 2024, spearheading the educational and higher ed support for AB 2586, a California bill to allow students to work at the UC, CSU, and community colleges. And so I guess the resolution here today, and I'll share a little bit about more how my office is helping support students honor his legacy here at UCLA, but I just want to get to the last clause. Therefore, be it resolved that the Undergraduate Student Association Council formally honors and celebrates his extraordinary life and the profound legacy that he leaves behind. And I want to invite all of you to a memorial that we're working on to honor Kent Wong's life this Thursday, October 16th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the South Dixon Court. It's been something that we're working on, and unfortunately, as you may know, we're coming across a lot of barriers with the time, place, manner policies and events, UCLA events, but we're hoping to get it moved forward, and I just wanted to formally invite everyone here today. But if there are any questions, if not, I'm more than happy to ask for a motion. All right, can I please ask for someone to motion today's resolution? Yes, Tommy?
I motion to approve resolution to honor the life of Kent Wong.
I second.
Tommy motions, Brett seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against? All abstaining? With a vote to 12 to 0, that resolution passes. Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope to, if you can, I hope to see you there on Thursday at 6 to 8 p.m. On our social media. Will be coming up soon. Next, I think this is Chris Espino. Yes, resolution to request course marking.
Yes. Let me read it. For context, the Michelson Foundation 20mm is a philanthropic chapter of a foundation dedicated to philanthropic work. They have a textbook affordability fellow, and since before my time, we have been working on textbook affordability. That same unit within the Access and Equity unit at UCLA developed the now pretty impactful incomplete notation policy that allowed for students to get the I's removed from their transcripts once completing the class, which at the time was impacting a lot of students' abilities to get into a grad school, even competitive grad school. So this is along the same work, but I'll read it. whereas course marking is a practice that requires that the cost of class course materials be posted to the registrar at the time of enrollment no later than 2027 fall quarter. And whereas at the University of California, Los Angeles, 27% of the undergraduate population are Pell Grant recipients, meaning these students display exceptional financial need, often struggling to pay high cost of course materials, skip out on purchasing necessities like rent or food to meet academic requirements. And whereas course marking is a widely used system adopted by various institutions and states across the nation following the Federal Higher Education Opportunity Act of 2008, which requires course material transparency. And whereas the Midwestern Higher Education Compact hosted a study finding there is a return on investment of disclosing open educational resources OER on schools' online course scheduler, with more than 1/3 of survey respondents stating that they have implemented a process for marking courses as OER, whereas institutions such as the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, Kansas State University, and Pittsburgh State University in Kansas have implemented course marking in their systems, marking low and zero cost materials. And whereas in California, SB 13595 which was passed in 2017, requires the California State University and California Community College systems to mark low and zero cost classes, with a strong recommendation for the University of California to follow suit. And whereas in 6 years since the passage of SB 1359, the university has yet to move forward with the course marking recommendation, despite the dedication and efforts of our faculty and instructors in taking the initiative to support open education through the creation and adoption of OERs and affordable course materials, and support from the UCLA Library through its affordability initiative. And whereas in California, AB 607 would require California State Universities and California Community Colleges and strongly recommend the UC system to further publish the estimated cost of courses at the time of enrollment. And whereas Alaska, Oregon, California, Maryland, Washington, Texas, Colorado, Virginia, and Louisiana have all passed course marking legislation that requires public universities to mark classes as low or zero cost at the time of enrollment. And whereas as a public institution that prides itself on access to information and excellence, UCLA should take a stand on the issue and set the standard for higher education as a whole. And whereas students do not know the cost of course materials at enrollment, and whereas the unexpected cost may pose a significant financial burden, and whereas course marking relieves financial stress, empowers students, and improves UCLA's financial transparency by allowing students to choose classes based on affordability. And whereas the implementation of course marking would require faculty to submit their course materials for a certain quarter to the registrar by a deadline that precedes enrollment for that quarter. And whereas the registrar's office has confirmed they can support the implementation of course marking, and therefore let it be resolved, USAC requests the implementation of course marking at UCLA, and therefore let it be resolved, USAC requests the academic units ensure the faculty under their unit are aware of this change and need to submit their course materials by a specific deadline set. And therefore, let it be resolved, USAC requests the endorsement for the undergraduate council and the academic senate to implement said change. Essentially, this year we created the Ambassador to Registrar program and are working on finally getting this initiative achieved. Any questions?
I have a question, Chris.
Sure.
Who would this fall under? Is this UGC?
Yeah, UGC is one of the committees responsible for it,
When's
correct?
the next time they meet?
Pardon?
When's the next time that they meet?
I am not sure. I think they by be meeting very soon, like within a week or two. But I can double check.
Okay, no worries. All right, thank you. That's it. Are there any other questions for Chris? All right. Can someone please motion?
I motion to approve the resolution to request course markings.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against? All abstaining? With With a vote to 13 to 0, that resolution to request course marking is approved. That concludes our meeting today, and I adjourn at 8:02 p.m. Yay! Tommy, you can turn off the YouTube live. Hi, Jeffrey. Are you still here?